Objections with Stan Willis. I'm not Stan Willis, but he is here. Stanuel, how are you?
I'm here. How are you?
Well, you sound like the prison transfer was you coming here, and you're like, I don't want to go to this gulag. It is your show. You have to be here.
Can we cut the handcuffs off now?
You know what actually would be funny is we should do Stan's show without him one time and just send him the link. Like, hey, man, give us a title for this show. Listen, you're a money guy, right?
Welcome to Objections with Michael Morris.
We should retitle the show. You're a guy that we talk about finances on, not our personal finances, but like how people make money. We're always like interested in that.
We are. I like money.
But we don't do this show for money. We do it for
Thank God.
Yeah, we do it because we need therapy, and neither one of us will commit.
Therapy.
Yeah. My question to you is:
Nate's our therapist.
Can you imagine, Nate? What's wrong with me? I don't know. For 45 minutes, that'll be $250.
You have mommy issues.
Yeah. Hey man, do you have Netflix? Dude, I'm trying to tell you from my heart that something's wrong. Yeah, but you got to see that Wednesday Addams show. So listen, the FTX scandal that breaks out.
I watched Jack Ryan last
the
time
one with what's his name? Krasinski, the guy from The Office.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
How was it?
It was all right, you know.
Didn't that come out like 4 years ago?
Just season 1 and season 2 are the only two that I could get. Season 3, yeah.
Why is this already going off the rails? We have literally been into this for 90 seconds.
You were talking about Netflix.
Well, now I have to write that down. That's on Amazon. That's not even on Netflix. Stay focused here, okay? We have to get through this subject.
Wait. Laser focus. Okay.
So I want to ask you about the FTX thing because it is a crime that is going to be brought in front of the Justice Department that will have nobody pay for this.
Which particular crime are we talking about? Laundering all the money or...
Well, we're going to touch on that in just a second.
Disappearing the money.
Well, let's ask this question first. Is it a crime that people got bilked out of billions of dollars?
Yeah, I mean, at first people were saying like this is going to be worse than Enron, blah 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 blah. So, I mean, people who were investigators on the Enron case were saying, yeah, this is going to be worse.
When I saw that quote, when someone goes, "Imagine Enron, but 1,000 times worse," and I'm like, how much worse could that be? And then as it's trickling out, they can't find money. So there's the laundering.
You're talking. I mean, when you say they can't find money, they can't find billions of dollars.
Right. It's not like he lost 100,000.
It's not. Or it's not like he had a hole in his pocket and lost $20 walking down the street. I mean, dude can't find billions of dollars.
Can you talk towards the
Ukraine was invested heavily in that too.
Well, listen, I'm sure they took some losses. We're trying to send them $37 billion more because we just cannot. To fight a war that cannot be won, I mean, it's literally fighting over a space of the bathroom carpet. No one's making any advancements. They're not moving, and it's a waste of time. What's the phrase? We're going to fight until the last Ukrainian life. That's what you're going to be doing. But I want you to explain, first of all, define the money laundering piece, because I think everyone's like, oh, yeah, I get it. Explain what money laundering is, and then how this affects the Ukraine.
So what money laundering essentially is taking money that is gotten illegally and turning it into money that is legal. It's like washing it. That's what money laundering is.
Putting it back into circulation.
So it's I rob a bank. I've got $10 million in cash. I can't go deposit it into another bank, right? And if I'm going to have this money, I have to, I have to make it legitimate somehow. So I go invest in crypto, and voila, I make a ton of money, and that's where I got my 10 million.
Right.
I mean, and that's an oversimplification, a huge oversimplification. But that's essentially what happens: is people come and invest money that's not legally gained, and then they turn it around and make it so it appears as if it's legal to go spend.
So why is the concern about money laundering and involving the Ukraine?
Well, because we push a lot of money into the Ukraine, and we don't know where all of it goes.
Right now, they can only find 30% of the guns and money that we've sent to the Ukraine, and they're finding out.
Well, and then we were talking before about the government audit that just happened, right? And there was another $3 trillion.
3.6 trillion. It's not a big deal, but it is a big deal because the last time that happened, well, they failed.
It's not a big deal. It's a sixth of the national debt.
Well, I mean, you're the one that's having a big problem with it. I'm okay with it, but the last time this happened,
what's $1 trillion between friends?
Before 9/11, 10 days before 9/11, that's when they find out they can't find this money that's missing. Now 9/11 happens, we go to Afghanistan, Iraq, all that. We do the world tour.
Yeah.
And then when we get back to this, no one ever said, "Hey man, remember that money that was missing?"
Right.
Well, there's no time to even look for it because now we're putting this money into circulation. What bothers me about this is not. Do you ever see the movie Boiler Room? It's an early 2000s movie, but it's Vin Diesel, and it's about guys that are selling like fake stocks. They're boosting these penny stocks, kind of like Wolf of Wall Street.
Vin Diesel was a stockbroker?
He was. He was just more on the phone. He wasn't really doing a whole lot. But in the movie, I remember my dad walking in who does invest money, and he saw the scene where they're pumping and dumping stocks. And he said, that makes me physically ill. And I didn't understand it at that time. But when you do think that you're giving money to an advisor or you're doing it yourself, you're self-funding a Vanguard account. And when that money, when you lose it, it's painful. When somebody else loses your money, it's detrimental. People watch commercials with Tom Brady and Giselle and Matt Damon and the guy that played Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor. They watched all these commercials like your financial freedom awaits. And it was all FTX. And people dumped their money in, everyday citizens, and lost it forever. They have so one of two things. You're an idiot if you take financial advice from somebody that played in a movie. Number two, what financial literacy do you have not to fall? I mean, this is a bigger Ponzi scheme than Madoff.
It appears that way. There's some. I mean, so back. Crypto is a big area. I mean, when you talk about crypto, it's more than just Bitcoin, because a lot of there are governments they're testing. They're testing government digital currency right now over in Europe, I think. So the idea of crypto is a big thing. It's not just Bitcoin, and it's not just FTX was actually an exchange, right, where they claimed to have a certain amount of all this stuff. There are some of these currencies that have potential that actually have value. Some that don't. There's some that are better than others. There's some that are purely a scam, and there's some that are not purely a scam. And really, value of anything is kind of I mean, the cryptos to me, crypto is not much different than the stock market. Because when you look at how things are trading now, it used to be when the stock market was first founded and all this stuff, that the stock prices bore some similarity to the actual value of the company, right? So when you would look at something like when they would tell you, well, here's what the here's the market. What's the word?
The valuation.
Yeah, it's called the market something. The market, and I can't pull it out right now. But when we need Jonathan here for this, but when you're looking at the total value of the company as far as the number of shares times the value, that would be close to actually what the value of the company is. And there's no way that a company like Tesla or something like that is actually worth the value of those shares.
Well, you also have it's speculation, right?
Right.
So if you have speculation, it is I think they will sell X amount of cars, but that's more based on your
Well,
This is my guess.
Right.
It's not factual because you can't predict the future, and yet people will say, no, you want to buy this, and in 10 years it'll be this. The difference, I think, in the digital currency versus stock is at least I know I can look up what did you sell? What are your sales projections? They have to share that.
Right.
And the digital side, it's like, no, man. It's who anybody will take this money. You could take Dogecoin and you could go buy a Lamborghini with it. Yeah, I guess if they take it, but the value of it fluctuates up and down so heavily. What worries me is when the government wants to get involved, it's just another way to tax you a different.
Well, the bigger problem with cryptocurrencies, the biggest issue that most people have is, the convenience is great, but a cryptocurrency now they're programmable, right? So now you got a programmable cryptocurrency that's issued by your government. That's what you're going to be spending money on. So anytime they want to, they can shut you down.
Yep.
They can take your money back. They can see everything that you're spending your money on.
They did that in Canada, and they did that in Australia during the COVID issues. They could shut down their Teslas. They could shut off their bank accounts because you're protesting or you're speaking up.
Right.
That's the bullshit part about it.
Well, that's the dangerous part of the crypto. I mean, the cryptocurrencies, and so when you're talking about crypto, I mean, I don't think it's certainly speculative. I don't know that it's any more speculative than the stock market is.
But don't you think that you have to? We don't teach people how to. You ever hear the thing? Learn how to avoid scams. Send $10 to this address. Right. And I feel like that's what we have a lot in this country, where it's.
Well, we do have a lot of that. We do.
But it's easy to get a fool to part with their money, especially when you let them watch television commercials or see billboards and you go, everybody wants the glamour. Everyone's looking for the easy money. There is no such thing as easy money. Unless you mess around with Harvey Weinstein, you are not going to make easy money. And even at that point, it's not easy money. You can't do it now. He's in jail.
I would argue that messing around with Harvey Weinstein made it not easy money. He's not a pretty man.
No. They said it looks like a thumb backwards. But I will say that when you see that the people's personal finances, I mean, what was the number you said? I think you said 35,000 or 30,000 is the poverty line.
The poverty line for individuals is about 15,000, I think.
Or so, what was the?
So it's double poverty, but the average salary in salary in the United States is about 33,000.
Do you know what it takes to be middle class in Ohio? Just Ohio. Do you know what you have to make?
Probably
$94,000, and that's a 2-month-old number
for a single person, or for a family.
For a family.
Okay.
So think about how tough that is, because that number keeps going up, right?
And especially in Central Ohio, when job prices are going up, and
we are kind of insulated here, where we're kind of fortunate in Columbus. Whereas, in other cities, like if you live somewhere in Wyoming and that factory goes bust, I guess you're going to move 3 hours away to the next shithole. But in Columbus, there's always another opportunity. It may not pay the same, but there's still, you don't have to, everything's within 42, 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. But the FTX thing, I don't care, because I wouldn't have invested my money. But you have people that are watching.
Nate had dollars in.
Yeah, Nate put all $3 in, and he owes the government $30 million now. That's how badly it went down.
Wow.
But there are financial shows like Nate. What we're doing right now that are touting this thing. Like, you've got to get in on it. You got to get in on it because they were being paid sponsorship money by FTX to talk about the product.
Well, and keep in mind, FTX is not. They didn't make any crypto of their own. I know. They weren't. It wasn't a cryptocurrency. It's an exchange.
Right. I'm not.
I mean, all that they were doing was taking money to allegedly buy you crypto, and even worse than that, they were trading a lot of futures. So they weren't even trading real crypto.
Right.
If that's a misnomer. But the thing about crypto, if it's like Bitcoin, you can actually put it on a hard drive, so you can carry it around with you.
And you better hope you never lose it.
Well, right.
Like that dude who had.
It's no different than your wallet. It's no different than paper.
There was a dude that had like $1 million on some hard drive, and then he threw out the computer by accident and couldn't find it.
Oops.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying that
it was Hunter Biden.
The thing about the good cryptocurrency is that there's actually something that you can own. There's actually something that you can possess. You can have in your possession. The problem with FTX, they were trading a lot of futures and a lot of paper crypto without actually even having any crypto,
Right.
Which is kind of what got them in trouble.
Do you think it's weird when something like that invests in candidates?
I back when I was younger, I remember that there was a lot of. I think at one time the government wasn't even allowed, like Social Security couldn't even invest in the stock markets back when I was younger. I'm sure that's the way it was. Because the reason for that was that they didn't want the government to have too much influence in the stock market. At this point, the government basically controls the stock market.
Well, some of them are major shareholders in all these companies.
Well, and Nancy Pelosi is a freaking genius. Her husband's never made a losing. Did you know he's never made a losing investment?
You know, the only thing you wish he didn't invest in?
I've only invested twice, and I've made 2 losing investments.
Well, that guy should have invested in hammers.
Yeah.
Now, when you see something like that, do you just say, that is greed? When you said absolute power,
That corrupts
right?
absolutely right.
Do you look at that and go, I would like to look into that more? Or do you just look at it and say, that's just how it works? That's how being in the government works. You should enrich yourself while you're there.
I don't think you should enrich yourself. So I think it's wrong. I think it's sad. I'm not sure we can change it.
Right.
I wish we could change it. I'd like to change it. I'm not sure we can.
If we changed it, it would be people like us would be there doing that job for $50,000, and it's not an everyday thing. If you got money out of politics, no one would want to do it.
Right.
You do it for the prestige, you do it for the money, and you do it for the rewards you get. You do not do it to run the country.
Right.
Because I think there are people that are idealists that get there,
Right.
and then once they get there, go, oh, there's nothing you can do.
Right.
So while you're here, take this money, and here's your trips and all that other stuff. I mean, the fact that Gavin Newsom, now I know that guy was born into wealth that was stolen by other people in different generations of his family, like a Rockefeller situation. But when I see that guy during COVID was, in some resort with a mask off and having the time of his life, and comes back because he gets caught and apologizes, and then they see him again at another resort doing it. It's like, so this really doesn't mean anything to you. Like,
Right.
this is a game. You're untouchable.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I apologize. I just think about the people those $40,000 to $50,000 people. They're not really the troubled ones. It's the $18,000 to $30,000 people that they're buying that lottery ticket.
Right.
But the difference is, yes, the lottery runs ads. When I see somebody like a Tom Brady, I'm not blaming Tom Brady. A lot of people want to blame him, by the way. Him or Matt Damon. Matt Damon was the only smart one. He took his payoff in cash. He didn't take it in crypto.
It's the same thing as. It's kind of the same thing as coming to Tom Brady and saying, "Hey, will you advertise for Old Spice?"
I don't believe the guy's ever had a Gatorade in his life, and he took that deal.
Yeah, that's just advertising, people paying you for who you are, so you can kind of push their product. I don't think it's his fault. I don't know that you can say that in order to put your name on something, you're required to thoroughly research the integrity of the thing that you're going to endorse. I don't know there's a requirement for that.
Do you know there's only 2 rules in advertising, television advertising?
I'm surprised there are any.
Well, those are set by the government. Can't show anybody actually smoking. Can't show anybody actually drinking.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what. You can show an axe murder on there. As long as you say that axe is $19.99 and it is in store. You can't bait and switch people.
Right.
But that's it. So you know what you're doing when you pick somebody like your Q, what we call a Q rating, is really high. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows you. You're going to be in this spot, and you're going to look like you love this thing. It's going to get the people that don't matter to invest their money. And the more you strip that away from the middle class or the poor, you're just setting them farther back. There is no protection from you from making a stupid decision with your money.
No, and honestly, I don't think that there should be. I mean, New York State has a law that it's kind of a funny law, but you can't buy more than 24 ounces of soda.
Because they used to have 44-ounce big gulps.
Right. I love those things. That's what I have.
What size is that, a 40?
That's extra large.
I had never heard of a big gulp until I saw that.
It's an extra grande.
Oh, well, that's Spanish for extra large. Did you know that?
Really?
I know you're a world traveler, but
it doesn't say. I think it's a 32 ounce. But the thing is, they have this rule in New York that you can't buy. It's just stupid. And it's because people shouldn't be allowed to buy more than 24 ounces because we're obese. You can't stop people from being obese. If I want to be obese, I can be obese. And besides that, I can buy 2 of them.
Well, here's the other thing. There is no limit, so you can buy 10 of them.
Right.
But the other thing is they put that thing right by, like, all the donuts.
Right.
So you can have as many donuts as you want. That doesn't harm you. But a bigger cup, we're not going to have that.
Bigger cup of Pepsi, we can't have that. Well, I guess it's because that's the paternal state instinct. So you start to have the nanny state instinct. So we were trying to we've got to save people from themselves. The fact is, you don't. You don't have to save people from themselves.
I never know why we care about that, but we don't care about the anytime there's a money scam like the Madoff thing. You're not going to get your money back, but we're going to imprison this guy. What the hell does that do? Nothing. And if you've got that much,
what you should do is you should make him pay everybody back. That's what you should do.
But think about the people. So like Kevin Bacon and his wife gave all of their money to Bernie Madoff because he was promising an 18.5 to 21% return, and he was delivering. But as people were taking their money out, he just stopped returning phone calls. So Kevin Bacon has to come to my kid's birthday party for $300 because he didn't have anything left. He's begging for more work to afford his lifestyle. And same with his wife. I don't feel bad for them because you should ask another financial advisor and say, is this normal? No, it's not normal. You put all your money into it, you're an idiot. But it's the people that don't know any better. And we live in a society that is full of people that don't know better about anything. I don't even care if it's drinking or driving. Yeah, it's fun, and we should all do it.
Here's the thing, though. The average lottery winner is filing bankruptcy within 5 years of winning the lottery.
You've seen the one about the guy who won it in, I think, Ireland?
No, I haven't seen that.
He won it and lost it all in 12 months. All he did was he bought hookers and drugs with it.
Wow.
And so he was a trash guy.
Yeah, it's hard to spend it all. It's even harder to spend it all and have nothing to show for it.
Yeah. Well, he had to go get his old job back, and they asked him, do you regret it? He goes, no, I'd do it all over again. It wasn't about the money to him. It was about the excitement of blowing it all.
But the thing, though, is that the reason these people are broke is because they don't know how to handle the money. They don't know.
Whose fault is that?
Well, I mean, that's their own fault.
But I'm saying somebody has to teach them.
But when you look in, so there are things about poverty that people that we never talk about that we should talk about. So, for instance, if you want to avoid living in poverty, if you can avoid getting pregnant before you're married, if you can manage to graduate from high school and you can have any job, you're 96% less likely to live in poverty than people who do those 3 things. 96%. So each one of those 3 things, I mean, if you can just do those 3 things, graduate from high school, don't get pregnant, and have a job, you're 96% less likely to live in poverty. But yet we have millions of people living in poverty who don't know those 3 things.
That's really hard, man, because when I was in high school, I was trying to get knocked up all the time.
Right. Yeah, it's try to be a slut in high school. It just failed.
But we don't do anything to tell people that.
No, we don't. We don't do anything to tell people that, and we don't do anything to help people with that. And we throw lip service at education, but we don't really do anything with the education. And we're not providing people with the resources they need to work out of it. And we're not putting the jobs in the right places. We're not putting the right pay scale jobs in the right places. I mean. If you're like in Columbus, Ohio State did a study. They called it a groundbreaking study. It's been probably 5 or 10 years ago now. But if you're on the L shape outside of the outer belt from about 161 down 71, and then across 70 on the south side, if you're in that L, you are 45% more likely to live in poverty than people, or no, it's more than that. You're like 85% more likely to live in poverty if you're from that area than if you're from anywhere else in Columbus.
Wow.
And if you just take a person from that area and put them somewhere else in Columbus, you reduce I think it's by 45%. You reduce their chances of living in poverty by 45%.
That's quite stunning. That is groundbreaking 10 years ago.
Yeah, and Ohio State did that study, and nobody really talked about it. But when you think about that, okay, so how do you correct that? How do you fix that? Well, first of all, part of the problem is there's no opportunity in that area, right? I mean, you have people who can't afford cars, who are stuck with public transportation, which in Columbus, Ohio, is not that great. They can't. There's no real opportunity around them or in that area, in those areas for people to get jobs, and we don't really have any jobs going in there either. And so then you have generational poverty. And then you have the schools. So if you look at the school districts in those areas, the school systems in those areas are not strong, and they're getting worse. And there's not a high priority on there's no real good plan on how to fix all those things. And we're not telling anybody that. We're not doing anything about it, right? I don't know why we're talking about poverty all of a sudden, but we are.
Oh, well, we were going to just wrap up the show, and I appreciate that. This show is brought to you by Sadness and Inequality. We will see you next week.